Hello everyone! I'm Claris, I'm an indie author and poet, and welcome to my channel! As you can see, it's been some time since I last filmed a video, because my hair is shorter now than it was compared to the last one. Because after all, summer is here and we all need to get a little bit of a refresh for the new season. Today I'd like to talk about something that could be of interest to some authors, and it's actually something that I've done recently at Canada Fiction Fest. Author readings. For those of you wondering what an author reading is, basically it's when you get to read from one of your own books live in front of people. For some of you people out there, I am sure that it's probably your worst nightmare. And to be honest, I actually avoided doing a lot of these in the past because I was terrified of public speaking, but that's a story for another video. Since I've gone through the experience recently of doing an author reading, I thought I would give my own tips for how you can do your own best author reading possible if you ever get such an opportunity. Author readings are a great way for authors to connect to the readers and for the readers themselves to hear their own authors read something from their own work and share their own work live in front of them. I think the reason that they're so popular is because there's this human connection in storytelling. And yeah, you could just grab the author's book and read it yourself, which we will always be happy if you do that. Please do that. But also, when we authors get to read to you, readers, we get to connect with you. We get to see and your reactions live as we're reading out our stories to you. And I think there's something really cool in connecting with that. The first tip I have for a great author reading is please just practice your reading beforehand. I have heard of some authors that just completely forgot to practice beforehand, and then they completely regret how they gave that author reading at the time because they were so unprepared with how they were starting the reading and stopping the reading, or how they breathed in between phrases that they were reading aloud, and so on and so forth. So to prevent a lot of those mistakes and all of that nervousness involved in reading live, a lot of practice beforehand is good. You could practice in front of a camera. You could practice in front of your goldfish. Practice in front of your mom. Practice in front of your dad. Practice in front of a teddy bear if you don't have a pet or a loved one next to you. Practice in front of one of your friends if you have friends available that are willing to hear you read. Just find something or someone to practice in front of. Or worst case scenario, just find the closest mirror and just practice reading in front of it, because when you get to practice in front of someone or something, you can have a visual for what the atmosphere might be like when you're reading to someone or something. My next tip for your author reading, make sure to actually time how long your author reading is. For example, when you're on an author reading panel with 3 other authors like I was for Canada Fiction Fest, you only have so much time to give your reading. You only have so much time to introduce yourself briefly, tell people what you're reading from, and then actually give the reading. So please, when you're practicing, time yourself. That way you'll figure out if your reading is too long, if your reading is too short, if the intro beforehand is too long or short, etc., etc. My best way of practicing readings was to time the reading, but then aim to go 2 minutes below the maximum amount of time I'm given. Because when you're reading live, there's a chance that you could be reading slower than you anticipated. There is also a chance that you could read faster than anticipated. So consider that your general talking or reading speed, and then try to aim for either 2 minutes shorter if you tend to speak slower, or go for 2 minutes faster if you 2 minutes more if you tend to speak faster. Another thing that I would like for all of you to keep in mind is please work on your pronunciation. This is something I am always working on. This is something that everyone should be working on when public speaking in general, or with giving an author reading, because you want your readers or anyone listening to you to understand what you are saying or reading aloud. It's very easy when you're reading aloud to just kind of mumble the words as you go, especially if you're the author who has written the piece that you are reading aloud. So I think it's really important to pay attention to pronunciation and diction and all of those other necessary elements. And I'm not a speaking expert. I am not your best pronunciation speaking expert, so I won't be giving any tips here. But I'm sure there are plenty of YouTube channels or online tips that you can find out on how to better practice your pronunciation and public speaking in general so you sound clear to your audience. And if you're really worried about your pronunciation, make sure that you practice in front of somebody who is really good at public speaking that you know, or someone who is really good at picking up whether you speak clearly or not, because that will make a whole world of difference, I promise. Finally, this is the last one I have, but not the least, and the one thing is, have fun! You're doing an author reading live. You might not always have the opportunity to do so, and it's a great way for you to connect with your audience. And yes, it can be very nerve-wracking to get it all right. I have definitely been nervous. I was definitely nervous before Canada Fiction Fest when I was giving my presentation and giving my reading, but I knew that it was a great way for me to connect with my audience and with new readers. And part of that connection is knowing that the authors and the readers involved are having a lot of fun and really enjoying getting to be immersed in the storytelling experience. So, as much as it can be easy to just tense up and focus on getting everything right, just breathe, relax, and just let the words flow as they may. Of course, do your best to give proper pronunciation, do your best to speak clearly, and so on and so forth, and stay within the allotted time that you have if you have a time limit for your reading. But have some fun. Make this special. Make the most of this opportunity and be in the moment. It's easier said than done, I know, but I believe in you, and I know that when I had to give my readings, I just had to believe in myself and let things be as they are. And if you come away from this reading knowing that maybe it wasn't your best shot, well, the next time you have a reading, you can learn from what your experience was previously and figure out how you can do better for the next one. And that is always a good thing. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that this gave you some tips on how to give some great author readings for your next reading opportunities. And if you would like to see more videos related to this, make sure to hit the subscribe button somewhere down below in the description, and I will see all of you next time. Bye!